You will notice a number of school districts, including Fayette County, have canceled school today. And that is due to a large number of teacher absences.
That's right. Those teachers, not sick. They plan to be at the Capitol today for the reading of a proposed bill that would change the structure of the Teachers Retirement System Board of Trustees. LEX 18's Claire Kopsky joins us live now in Frankfort with more on what's happening today.
Claire and Chris, good morning. That's right. This morning, the Capitol is expected to be flooded by a sea of red. Hundreds of teachers are expected to be here for the reading of House Bill 525 that, if passed, would change who oversees teacher pensions. The proposed bill would change the nominations of members to the Teachers Retirement System Board of Trustees. It would take away the election process, giving one nomination to several different associations, including the Kentucky Society of Certified Public Accountants and the Kentucky Bankers Association. Representative Ken Upchurch, who is sponsoring the bill, released a statement saying it's staggering that people would strike so early in the process. He also said there's been work on a committee substitute to increase the say teachers and retired teachers have. KEA President Stephanie Winkler posted a video to her Facebook page last night explaining why some teachers are against the bill.
This is the kind of thing that leads us down to a path for other people who want to get a hold of our money and do nefarious things with it to their benefit. We don't want that. We want to protect our teacher retirement system and our assets, and we have skin in the game.
Now, a Facebook message from grassroots organization KY120 United said, quote, called teachers to take, quote, bold action to protect a board process and nominating procedure that has worked for 78 years. That message encouraged teachers to call in sick today so they could head here to Frankfort to be here when the bill is read. It also encouraged retired teachers to not take any substitute assignments today, as people are wanting them to be here in Frankfort. Covering the news live in Frankfort from the LEX 18 mobile newsroom. Claire and Chris, back to you.
Claire Kopsky, thank you. It's coming up on 5:35, and we are learning more this morning about an apparent deadly shooting in Perry County. The sheriff's office says around 4 yesterday afternoon, just south of Hazard, a deputy found a man lying on Four Seam Road. We're told that victim appeared to have several gunshot wounds. The man was declared dead at the scene and was later identified as 42-year-old Danny Ray Mullins. His body will be taken to Frankfort today for an autopsy. No word yet on any potential suspects, and we understand that death does remain under investigation.
5:35 now. Within the past week, Elizabethtown has seen several cases of violence, and now the mayor is speaking out. Over the past week, the police department has dealt with a shooting spree that left 2 people dead and 2 more hurt. The next night, a stabbing at a gas station, and then on Tuesday, a violent carjacking that led to a high-speed chase and officer-involved shooting. But despite the violence, Mayor Jeff Gregory says Elizabethtown is a safe and wonderful place to live.
We're very proud of what we do here, and with the exception of a couple things that we've had happen in the past week, this has been a great place to live. So now we come to the point that we have to rally together as a community, and we have to watch each other's back.
And the mayor of that Hardin County town says historically Elizabethtown has been very safe, and he does not see that changing.
5:36 now. The measles outbreak spanning 10 states in our nation has been called a growing public health threat.
That is why health experts went to Capitol Hill this week to talk with lawmakers about the need for vaccinations. LEX 18's Tiffany Jackson has more in this morning's Health Watch report.
Doctors from the CDC and National Institutes of Health were on Capitol Hill yesterday telling congressional leaders that despite the eradication of the virus in the U.S., measles continues to circulate globally, posing a threat to unvaccinated children. Just this year, the CDC has confirmed more than 159 cases of measles in 10 states.
And measles is so incredibly contagious that it can spread really quickly. So yes, we should be concerned.
One of those cases was here in Kentucky. It's the first confirmed case of measles in the Commonwealth in nearly a decade.
He was not vaccinated, he was not immune, and he with his family traveled internationally.
Experts say vaccinations are the primary prevention tool against measles, but some at the hearing had questions, including Kentucky Representative Brett Guthrie.
I've heard some parents claim that measles vaccine can cause brain inflammation known as encephalitis. Is that true?
In healthy children, MMR vaccine does not cause brain swelling or encephalitis.
Doctors say that anyone who has concerns about a particular vaccine or the recommended vaccine schedule should discuss those with their child's pediatrician.
We shouldn't be criticizing people who get this information that's false because they may not know it's false. We need to try and continue to educate them to show them what the true evidence base is.
Tiffany Jackson, LEX 18 News.
And now 5:38 here, and we move to a major development overnight from Vietnam.
Yeah, all this happened while you were sleeping, most likely. President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un have ended talks early at their second summit without an agreement. The president says discussions failed because Kim wanted all U.S. sanctions on North Korea lifted before denuclearization. President Trump says that despite the lack of agreement, though, his meeting with Kim ended with a handshake, saying it was very friendly. President Trump says he remains open to future negotiations.
And President Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen, testifying before the House Oversight Committee in Washington yesterday, making explosive allegations against his former boss.
But Republicans pointed out repeatedly that Cohen is a convicted liar and called yesterday's hearing politically motivated. Blaine Alexander has more this morning from Capitol Hill.
Michael Cohen capping off an explosive 7 hours of testimony with a message directly to President Trump.
And you take responsibility for your own dirty deeds. So to those who support the president and his rhetoric, as I once did, I pray the country doesn't make the same mistakes that I have made.
The man who spent 10 years as the president's attorney and fixer, saying the president knew ahead of time about WikiLeaks' release of hacked Democratic Party emails and that he directed hush money payments made during the 2016 campaign. But Cohen says he does not know of any evidence of collusion between the president and Russia.
I am ashamed because I know what Mr. Trump is. He is a racist, he is a con man, and he is a cheat.
Republicans repeatedly attacking Cohen's credibility, pointing out that he is going to prison in part for lying to Congress.
This is the first time in the history of Congress we have someone testifying here who has already been convicted of lying to Congress.
Hearing drawing a fiery response from the committee chairman, Democratic Congressman Elijah Cummings, about the state of the country.
We're better than this. We are so much, we really are. As a country, we are so much better than this.
Cohen set to report to prison in May to begin his 3-year sentence. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Washington.
5:40, let's cover your world this morning on LEX 18 News at sunrise. Officials in California's wine country have declared an emergency.
That is because rising floodwaters are engulfing communities, leading to evacuation orders and leaving thousands swamped. Kim Hutchinson has a report.
We're asking you to get out now.
A warning sent to people in Sonoma County, California, after rising floodwaters washed out roads, leaving thousands cut off.
For those who have received an order to evacuate but cannot get out because of roads, we do ask that you shelter in place.
Torrential rains have caused the Russian River that rushes through California's wine country to break its banks, turning roads into rivers, swamping cars and buildings, and isolating at least one community.
It happened out of nowhere.
And we had tried to get out to see if we could canoe, and the whole canoe flipped, so.
What was going through my head was, I want to live. I want to survive. I want me and my wife to survive.